Okay, welcome everybody to this evening's ACY Securities webinar. My name is Duncan Cooper. Tonight's webinar is Forex Trading and Live Market Analysis, which we'll get into in a moment. Just to give you a heads up, tomorrow I'll be going through identifying a simple trade setup using a trend line break and following a written trading plan. So I've been going through some of the components of that in our webinars, and we'll be putting it all together tomorrow evening and looking for it all to come together as a setup. So that will be tomorrow's webinar, 8 p.m. Sydney time. Just register your interest at our webinar page if you want to join me. For tonight's webinar, if everybody can read through the disclaimer, if you're on our YouTube live stream, I cannot see the chat, but you're more than welcome to watch. You can join me in the webinar. I've given you the link there. For those in the webinar, you can use the webinar chat box or Q&A box to talk to me. All right, let's move along now. If you don't know me, my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm a Senior Market Strategist and Trading Mentor here at ACY Securities and a full-time Forex trader. Been trading in the Forex market nearly for 20 years, mentoring for more than 10. If you want to contact me, my email is there, duncan.cooper@acy.com. And through the week, you can follow me at our website, acy.com. Go to the Market News tab, YouTube at ACY Securities Australia. And if you want to get with me personally, just head over to my Linktree page to get my links. And if you want to get access to the charts I'm using in MT4, just contact Nathan.bray. His email's there. He'll only be able to set you up. And for those in the webinar, I will put his details in the chat. There we go. All right, let's get into first then the news for the week. Let's go through the red items which are set at my time, Queensland time. So moving into tomorrow 1 in the morning for the US CB consumer confidence. 5 in the morning, FOMC meeting minutes being released. 10:30 in the morning, so it could be volatile when that gets released. I don't think we're expecting too much difference there, but you never know. 10:30 for Aussie. It's going to be volatile for Aussie crosses at this point in time. Expecting inflation coming in at 2.5 rather than 2.1 previous. 11 o'clock, we have then the New Zealand cash rate, which is expected to come in 50 basis points lower. And then press conference, multi-point statement. Press conference there at 12 p.m. from RBNZ. 11:30 in the evening for US, we have prelim GBPQQ. Moving into Thursday, early morning, 1 o'clock, US core PC price index. All day, we have a German prelim CPI month-on-month data being released. It's not all day, but it can come out at any given time. It's probably more like early London. 6:55 for Aussie, we have RBA Governor Bullock speaking. Then into Friday, in the evening, 9 p.m. for the pound. Bank of England Governor Bay speaks. 11:30 p.m. for Canada, we have GDP month-on-month figures. And China manufacturing PMI coming out at 11:30 a.m. on Saturday, where the market will be closed then. But whatever, if that comes out, you know, a nice fruitful number, then of course it could affect how the Aussie crosses, New Zealand crosses maybe start the morning at the start of the new week. All right, so as the news hasn't coming out, be aware of what is happening. It's going to be volatile tomorrow for the Aussie crosses and the New Zealand crosses, 10:30 to 10:30, 11:30 windows here. So just bear that in mind. And we've got the CB consumer confidence coming out early this morning at 1. All right, so let's get to the charts now. The big question is the US dollar going to top out? It has been above, I'm going to go to the monthly chart, has been above this monthly area here, but it's not holding that high. So the big question is, are we false breaking to remain in the range? I can get my drawing tool to work. To remain in the range, so, you know, are we going to hold at the top to move back down? We've been stuck in this range for more than a year. So are we going to break out, or are we just going to simply stay within the range? So So if we do start to see like a lower top forming on the daily chart, Stephen, I think he was speaking with Nathan. He got me on the phone a little bit earlier about how do we know when we're going to be seeing a reversal. Just from a very pure trend perspective, then on the day chart, if we see a lower top form on the day chart, then that would be the first indication that maybe we're getting a shift change from the trend that we're seeing. So we don't have that yet. So what we would need to see is if we have a day down tomorrow, that would start to form a lower top here. And that would be starting to maybe signal that, okay, the US dollar wants to decline. And then pairs to the US dollar potentially would want to move up. So that's what I would use as a very primary focus of immediate shift in trend. All right, hopefully that helps you. So at the moment, we are still higher top here, higher bottom, higher top, and higher bottom. So we could still continue up and take out this top and still be in a clear uptrend. So until we see a lower top, and again, ask how long would it take to see a MACD? Probably a few more days, unless we've got divergence. If I put MACD on this chart, if I've got MACD on my other charts, just in here, dollar index here. See, MACD is almost crossing here. So if we were to have a day down tomorrow, I would suspect then this will cross down. All right, so MACD and price action here in terms of forming a lower top maybe and crossing down, they could all happen at the same time. Often they don't, but just looking at this example, then I think if we traded down tomorrow and then closed, you would probably find that the MACD is crossed down. All right. Could cross down today if we have a very negative day down today, for example, and we take out the low of yesterday. All right. So yeah, that could also be used as an objective way of saying, okay, that day chart trend has now changed and we're topped out in the short term. All right. So at the moment, we've had a very strong uptrend on the dollar. As I was saying on the monthly chart, the big question is up here. Are we going to hold? If we do start to see a lower top form on the daily, that is probably going to be the market, traders that look at the dollar index for guidance, if they see that lower top forming, that is going to be strong information for them. All right, S&P 500, really just holding the uptrend here. Last week, we started on these days here to get support from this weekly high here, and we've pulled back to the 62 level. So really, the price action process here is we've had a 62% pullback, was able to then hold above this top here. And I would anticipate that we're moving up towards a 127 extension at the moment before the next pullback. It's always good to be getting in the early phase of the move up. So in here was where you want to get into your trade. Now we're testing this top here where we could fail if the market doesn't want to proceed higher. So you probably missed the best time. I personally would wait for this to top out now, have its next retracement, and then look to be a buyer on the next retracement. You're buying it up here pretty much at the all-time high. Is that really where you want to be buying to take a trading position? All right, so let's get into euro dollar. So euro dollar is moving up today. It's interesting what happens. This is my 50-minute chart, but we see this in all the pairs to the US dollar. We gapped up Monday, traded up, and early in Asia today, we came down to, well, we didn't quite fill the gap, but that might be as good as it gets this week. We're already heading back up. On other pairs, like pound, New Zealand dollar, Aussie dollar, gaps have been filled. So I'm getting the feeling on the euro dollar that, the weekly chart, we've obviously traded below this monthly low here, so that is bearish from a long-term perspective, but from a short-term perspective, we could be dealing with a false break. And that false break could long-term move all the way back up the range if it really wanted to. Like the dollar index is in a range, we could simply false break the bottom of here, which is the top on the dollar index, and move all the way back up to the top of the range. All right. So it isn't a given that we're going to go down and down and down. We could be false breaking there. Excuse me one moment. Right, sorry, I have to blow my nose now. So it's not a given that we're going to break through here long term. We may bounce up to maybe this level, 10600, 106.65, or, you know, back up to these areas over the next month or two. We'll have to wait and see. So what are we seeing on the daily chart? Is it showing a hand that we're maybe reversing? Potentially, we have had a day down today. If we take out the high of yesterday, we're actually going to maybe form a higher bottom here. And as we were talking about MACD before, let's just go to the other charts, to the euro. Haven't quite crossed up, but if we get a cross up and a cross down on dollar index, and we, you know, I think if we take out the high yesterday today, we're probably confirming that we're putting in a short-term bottom. All right. From the weekly perspective, at the most, we'll go back to the weekly. We do have a lower top here, so the most immediate range to monitor for a rally within the overall downtrend is that range at the moment. Could be the larger range, but at the moment, let's just use this range. All right, so at the moment, you know, getting back up to 106.65. This is a weekly low. 62% at 107.06. I think if we're moving up, we're gonna see probably at least a move to here, because that's the normal rally to the 62% or 79%. So if we see a change in trend on the daily, which we may well see, then I would anticipate we're going to be moving up that way. So at the moment on the 4-hour chart, we're going to see that we are lower bottom here, coming down to fill the gap. So it is a, you know, is that a final top and we're going to further go down this week? It is a little bit ambiguous. We may need to see what the day brings, and leading into tomorrow to have a clearer sense that maybe we could be moving higher. It is worth, whilst I'm looking at a larger range, it is worth watching just last week's range. If you're exceptionally bearish in mind and you don't think maybe we're having a false break at the bottom, then you can just start to watch. If you're more on the sell side, a level to watch this week would be at 105.50, the 79% level. And of course, we may just have a week up and false break the top of last week up at 106.09 as well, 10600 to 106.09. Those are two levels for the sellers to look at. It's a bit more difficult on the buy side at the moment because the trend structure here on the 4-hour chart is down. But if we do pop above the last high formed yesterday, then what we need to do, let's assume we're going to be moving up. If we do break above here, you then want to be looking for a dip. Of course, we don't have that price structure at the moment, so it's a little bit difficult to get long unless you're just trying to look for a tight entry maybe on the 15-minute chart. Notably today, we are getting support in London at the central pivot point. Of course, we've already moved away from there, but if we were to come back down to that level, 104.72 today, that would be a good level to watch. You could look at a small range. We've just had this impulsive move up. You could look to the 62.79% area of that move up. So 104.88 to 104.80, look in that zone for a pullback today. It would coincide with these little intraday tops. If we come in, hold to move higher today, you could look at that way of trying to get along if you're bullish. All right, still needs a little bit of work to fully, I think, maybe start to paint the picture of being bullish. If we do trade above this high, though, I think we're going to be bullish for the week, personally. All right. Here again, we have on the weekly an uptrend here, higher bottom. That top there is higher to this minor top here. So pulling back on the weekly. And on the day, we're in a downtrend. But it does look like at the moment that we're at the bottom of the swing down. So there's the swing down. So if we are trading in line with the day trend, you know, is the possibility of us moving maybe down to 155 into the new month, next month, for a retest of this strong area of support. We could be looking, you know, can we sell a rally? 4 hour. So that's last week's range. I would be looking up at the 79% level and some resistance here at 163.89 up to maybe 164. Look to sell a higher rally. I don't want to be selling anywhere near this level of support that we're trying to get above at the moment. So I don't want to see price just get above here a little bit and then I'm trying to sell a break of this. I'd want to be selling up high. So by the time it comes back down to support, I'm risk-free. All right. So I want to be away from support, selling down high from resistance in line with that day chart trend at the moment. Euro pound. It's looking like it's putting a bottom in here, but it is rather choppy. Personally, I'd look at a different pair. And personally, with the longer term trend being down, I would look at this range. 8,400 is an old area of support here. I would look for a 79% rally and see if it turns over on a lower time frame up here. Down in this area, there's lots of support from the weekly chart and the monthly chart if you go to those levels. All right, that's why it's getting very choppy down here, because there are buys down there at support. So could we get up higher where the sellers would be to try and sell in line with the dominant trend? All right, I wouldn't want to try to be trading short too close to support. All right, if I drop it into the weekly charts, there's a weekly low here. And if you drop it into the monthly chart, you'll see there is a monthly area of support here. And here. So there's lots of support where we've been in, and that's why it can't break down through. So that's why the sellers are struggling to maintain traction to the downside. But the trends are down. It's just that they don't have enough impetus to break through, but the trend is still down. So it is a little difficult at the moment on the euro pound. And if really the trade would have been to buy up from support, if you wanted to do something when you start to see support holding down here, to, you know, trade up for the rally. All right, pound dollar. All right, so pound dollar is a little bit different to the euro dollar in that if you go to the monthly charts, we are in an uptrend, whereas on the euro dollar, we broke the major low last week at 104.50-ish, whatever the exact number is. Whereas on the pounds, we have a higher bottom, higher top. So if you just move to weekly, you'll see that we are around the 79% level of that range, the major range. We've been down to it today and underneath it, but, you know, 125.41. Really, if you're bullish this pair, you could take a very nice positional play from the 79% level if price revisits, maybe with a 100 pip stop. So 79% levels at 125.41. And there could be a very large continuation move up in line with the dominant monthly trend. Until we break below here, the dominant monthly trend is up. This is just corrective. This move here, or that move is corrective of this move up there. That whole move. So, you know, if we see, like I was saying on the Eurodollar, if we see a higher bottom form here over the next few days, that would get me in the mindset that I want to look to get myself long intraday. All right, at the moment, we could still move further down. It's still, still lower top, lower bottom, but there is a bit of buying pressure intraday at the moment. Four hour is still lower top, lower bottom here. I did notice that pullback today was to fill the gap, and it came in at the 79% level. And then we moved above the largest 79% level. So there is the question there. I want to just go to the MACD charts and just see how things look on the MACD, just on the daily. Not crossing over yet. So, if it was crossing over, if we have a day up tomorrow, then that will start to form potentially high bottom. And then we might start to get a cross up. So if we start to see those things happening, if we are going to trade all the way up to the high up here throughout the next couple of months, there's plenty of time to get into a buy. The question is, for the sellers at the moment, is there more time to sell, or are we really coming to the end of the selling time, and are we actually going to see a change in trend? 4 hour here on the MACD, we're actually seeing a bit of positive divergence here on the MACD. So maybe we are going to see a shift. What does the euro dollar say on the 4 hour? We're seeing positive divergence on the 4 hour too. All right, so there's indicator telling us maybe we're changing trend down there, but we'll just have to wait and see. All right, so let's just have a look at the 15-minute. 15-minute trend is up. We could be looking, like I was just showing you on the euro, looking at that range, you could be looking for a dip back down to this high, overlaps with the 62% level at 125.52 for support here, for maybe a continued move up today. We've had a day down, but are we going to be coming up here today and then maybe tomorrow falling up and through? Are we going to have a high bottom forming on the daily? All right. Now, the thing most definitely to watch with these pairs to the US dollar at the moment is don't go buying them all. I think the most bullish one of them all at the moment is the euro dollar. So if I wanted to trade one maybe to the upside at the moment, I'd maybe go euro dollar. And I'd probably want to see that the other pairs to the US dollar were telling me the same thing as and when I wanted to make a decision to get long. Okay. All right, pound yen. Now the weekly is up and we're seeing a daily downtrend. So we're having a corrective phase of this movement up here. Lower top, lower bottom on the daily. I'm just going to say the exact same thing as I said on the euro yen, is you want to sell a high rally, 62% level, coincides closely with that 195 at 96 level of resistance here. And so from that level up to the 79% zone level, I would look in that zone if the market can offer you that rally. If we are seeing a trend down, we can see that the rallies are very high. See the last rally, that was a 79% rally. So look for the next 79% rally to sell to continue down. Okay, Aussie yen, still rather range bound. It's false breaking support today. This could just stay within this kind of range for as long as it wants. All right, so it's between 99.42 and 101.41. I would look to the outskirts. So if you were watching down at support, which I've been discussing over the last few weeks, that was the level to watch. It's always difficult when price is selling off sharply to go, okay, I'm going to buy down here. But if you did today, you would now be in profit. All right, so until we get a clear breakout, we're still in a range. Big rejection here on the 4 hour. It's just all that has done is taken out stops between these 4 hour lows. Okay. So if I wanted to do anything this week, I would want this to come back down to this level. And then intraday on a 50-minute chart, start to reverse back up and then look to buy to trade back up to the top. All right. That's what I would do. And if it doesn't come back down to support, well, it's okay. I can look at something else. If we came up to the top, then look for a reversal back down. All right, now the Aussie day chart, we are a bit similar like on the pound dollar, the monthly chart here. That is moved up to a higher top. It is rather range bound. Well, it is a higher top, and are we within the range going to put in a higher bottom on the monthly chart to maybe start to move up? So we are getting some form of support at this 79% level. This is just a weekly look. There's a bit of weekly support from over here as well in the 79% area at 64.79 to 64.75. Now, I thought yesterday we were starting to head up, but of course today we moved down, which I didn't like because I'm long at 64.50, but it didn't hit my stop, and I'm back in profit as I'm talking. So I had to weather. I'm long at 64.50, stop at 63.50. So couldn't take my stop today, and I'm hoping it's getting support at 79% level too. You know, long term, just on the weekly chart here, to long term now, put a leg up like so. All right. All right, so we may have just taken out a whole bunch of stops this morning because we're back above weekly support, day support, back above the 79% level. It wouldn't be the worst trade in the world, just back to the day. It wouldn't be the worst positional trade to simply be a buy at the 79% level, stop 100 pips below, like I was saying on the pound, because the monthly trend is up here. So if we're false breaking, you have to decide, are we false breaking to take stops out, to find liquidity, to get long? That's how the large traders look at it. All right. Is that what occurred today? And are we going to start to see an uptrend form to move back up the range? Now, with the false break today, we're still going to see at the moment on the 4 hour chart, trend is down on the 4 hour. If you're more bearish, you can look at the range we've been forming today. Look to sell a 79% rally at 65.24 to continue what you would believe is a downtrend, if that's your frame of mind, like so. Or you could be taking a positional play to the buy side, like I was suggesting at the 79% level. Or you could just be waiting for the opportunity to maybe see 4 hour chart price action turn to up first before you do anything. If you want to be really aggressive to the long side, you could still be waiting to see if we've got CPI tomorrow. Do we once more come down and sweep these lows, then hold and reverse back up? So it is a little bit difficult to take a very tight stop kind of trader approach at the moment with CPI coming out tomorrow. But after CPI tomorrow, if we do come down and sweep the lows again and then hold, then, you know, try to get long as close to those lows as you can for a reversal back up. All right, New Zealand yen. It's trying to break down. In fact, it's breaking down a little bit more than the Aussie. It's just trading below the range at the moment, but I'm not convinced that this one at least move back up for a rally. So I would watch that range there at the moment for a rally back up to the 79% area. So back up to 91.27. You don't want to sell at the bottom of a break of support. You want to allow it to rally. Try and sell high for the next decline. And, you know, we could false break here and actually come back up to where has been resistance and still remains pretty much in the range. So, well, an easy one at the moment, the New Zealand yen. Any downside trends have been capped at support, and then we move back up to resistance. So, expecting a 50 basis point cut from New Zealand Central Bank tomorrow. That's probably already factored in. So that coming in probably isn't going to be negative for the currencies. Crosses here, the New Zealand yen, New Zealand dollar. It not getting a 25 basis point cut will be positive because the market would have factored in a 50 basis point cut. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. New Zealand dollar, it is just at the moment wanting to hold below what was support. This made, go to the weekly chart, this level here, 58.49, we're just below it. I'm personally not convinced that we aren't going to move back above. And there's the next level here at 57.73. So tomorrow, if you come down to 57.73, that could well be support to move back up the range. All right, we're in support here at the moment. All right, we have been last week back above 58.49, held here. So it is still holding a downtrend. But if we start to reject down here again this week, the market may be fishing for a bottom. So personally, I would not be selling low down here. I would be doing nothing or waiting for a setup that I like to get long. And if we go down a little bit tomorrow after the interest rate decision and start to come back up, and we want to trade above 58.49 tomorrow, you know, getting long at around 58.49 tomorrow, buying at the bottom area of support, we could trade all the way back up to 63.69. I know it's difficult. When we were down here last time, I did not buy here. We traded all the way back up. I sold here. I got out round about here, and I did buy down here, and then I got stopped out of break even. So I am going to look to get long again at or close to this area to trade all the way back up. Now, I don't know if it's going to trade all the way back up, but when it came down here, I didn't know it was going to trade all the way back up, and it did. And when I sold up here, I didn't know it was going to trade all the way back down to there, but it did. So you can quite clearly see the range that we're trading in from up here to down here. And we could just stay in that range for the next year. So until we get a different structure, I can only trade the structure that I'm seeing. So Sam, your question is, am I expecting general US dollar weakness? As long as the US dollar holds at the top of its range, I'm expecting we're going to see US dollar selling pressure, which is going to translate into pairs to the US dollar moving up. Now, you know, just for those coming in late, dollar index here on the monthly chart, it is holding at that high at the moment. Now, if we break above there, then no, because that would mean that pairs to the US dollar would then move down because the dollar index is moving above its resistance. So dollar index is at resistance and pairs to the US dollar are starting to be at support levels. So it stands to reason that if the dollar index moves down from resistance, pairs to US dollar would move up from support. So yeah, that's my kind of play at the moment. But, you know, I can be wrong. And like when the New Zealand dollar, we're in this exact opposite situation at the moment. When the New Zealand dollar was up here, the dollar index was down here. And everybody would have been going, well, are we breaking below here or not? So we're at the same kind of turning point at the moment. Well, now a resistance hold on the dollar index to move down. Pairs to US dollar, will they hold that support to move up? All right, so as I say on the New Zealand dollar, I would keep watching 58.49 very closely if we start to want to be back above that level tomorrow. Once again, we could be false breaking support to move up. Dollar Canadian, it's holding its uptrend. I did say watch this area last week for support. We can't go back there now because it's moved up. So that was your opportune time to look for a buy in here. For the monthly chart perspective at the moment, the question is, are we heading towards these highs? So this is a bit more bullish in its positioning. So at the moment, just from a day chart perspective, it's just holding at 141.05. If you're bearish, dollar Canadian, you think this is very high price now, because we are in the higher area historically where we've been, then you could be looking on a lower time frame, maybe for a reversal down from 141.05. But this is a lot stronger than some of the other pairs to the US dollar moving down at the moment. If I wanted to buy, I would need to see a dip back down to 62.79% zone, which is back onto support from the higher time frame, from the monthly chart at 139.77. All right. For our chart at the moment, it's still in an uptrend here, so I'm not seeing anything there that I want to short. If we were to sell down a bit, so if we've got a nice, we're kind of sitting on support there at the moment. If we were to come down, reject on the 4-hour chart, then maybe it's time to look for a trade down within that range, down to the 62.79% area. And then does this hold? Maybe trade back up. All right, dollar franc is holding its uptrend. The monthly trend is putting in a high bottom. We have a lower top putting in a high bottom. Weekly trend is up. We're a bit overextended on the weekly chart, but the daily trend is remaining in play. And this may only be pulling back here to like a 62% level to continue up here. I'd much prefer a bit of a deeper pullback to support at 88.26 and the 79% fib. That would be my preferred level if I wanted to trade the dollar franc, because you can see what it did there 2 or 3 days ago. So it came above support to move off. So that would be my area if I wanted to trade that to the upside in line with that trend. And 88.34, 79% fib down to 88.26. All right, dollar yen. Big question is, are we topping out? We've always had, this big decline. On the monthly chart, we actually did break that low just, and then we're rallying. So we're rallying up from just the lower bottom. All right, bit short of the 79% level. We're holding at this weekly area of broken support to being resistance there at 154.54. And then the daily, we are higher bottom, lower top. So the key area to watch is if we do move down through here at the moment, the key area to watch is 151.94, because that is, to the monthly chart, the 23 and 22 highs. They've already acted as support once we moved above. So even though we see a bit of a downtrend forming on the daily, maybe if we head down towards that level, that is the key level to watch for a break to the downside or to hold the uptrend. So here it's mixed at the moment. It could get support from this area here, 153.27. It's not. If I wanted to trade today, that high just there, 154.75. Daily high, it's a little bit higher than the weekly area from over here. That would be an intraday reference point there. And it's a little bit mixed here on the 4-hour, but your opportunity to get short has really already been shown. So that's 79% level, overlapping with that higher than I'm using. Now, it may come back up to that level. That is definitely the seller's level for the week at the moment, 154.70. If we are moving down, if we're going to put in a lower top, lower bottom at some point, trying to sell a rally, whilst it's a bit range bound here at the moment, up here to sell, to see if we can break down. That would be the go for me. All right. All right, let's finish on gold. Now, weekly trend and the monthly trends are up. So here's the weekly. That fib, I'm just using that fib from the day perspective. In fact, I'm just lying because the weekly trend is actually turned down to a lower bottom here. Because the monthly is having a month down. Now, there could be a question of we're just having 1 month down. That's made the weekly trend turn down because of that movement down. And then we could just have a new month up next month and so on and so on. And we just had a 1 month correction. So the big question will be, how many months are we having down? So the weekly, now that I've just refreshed my memory and can see it's the lower bottom there, have we come up to form a lower top for a deeper decline? Come up to the 62.79% zone. That dropped back down. Let's come back down to weekly support here. So weekly support is an area for the buyers for short, 26.02. If it wants more retest, it's tested it today. And I think for the sellers, so I just want to double check the week. The weekly, we're just within the range of last week at the moment. So we're not having a week down. So for sure, the buyers should be watching 26.02. You could have already been down there buying. And the sellers want to be looking up here at 27.31, that area there, and the 79% fib level at 27.35 for sells. Those are your two boundaries. There's, the question is there, all we doing is having 1 month down and then continuing up? All right. Or is there more downtime? Quite clearly, if we start closing below 26.02 again, maybe we've got more downtime. If that is holding, maybe we're moving back up. So that was the outside boundaries that I would look at if I wanted to trade gold. All right, so my thoughts on the market at the moment. So there is a big question at the moment. Is the US dollar going to continue its strength or not? And if we're not sure, we don't have to do anything. We did have a gap up Monday. We filled the gaps. What's that euro dollar doing at the moment? It's trying to hold above 105 at the moment. So maybe its next move directionally is to 106. Yesterday it did be above 10. It was actually above 105 when I went to bed last night, and then it wasn't when I woke up. But it did spend some time above 105. Are we going to now want to spend a few days above 105? Pound dollar did just come down to that area that I discussed and immediately went up. So that was an opportunity to buy the dip. Could be risk-free now. If it now reverses, it wouldn't matter. You got your risk out. All right. Or I'll leave it at that. So if you're not sure of the trend at the moment, you can always just stay on the sidelines. I got a sneaking suspicion that the US dollar is going to at least have a retracement. In short term, but I mean, that's just my opinion. We'll have to wait and see if it's going to maybe, come into a much larger move back up. We're very overextended to the downside. So when we're very overextended to the downside, I find it very difficult then to be a seller. And I need to see clear reason to be a buyer. So, we're in that kind of intermediary phase at the moment where we're not quite sure if a reversal is on the cards yet. But I think on the euro dollar for sure, We trade above yesterday's high, the reversal's on. We break above yesterday's high, the reversal to the upside is on for the euro dollar for sure. And this is looking a little bit bullish intraday at the moment at 105, or slightly above. All right, we'll leave it at that. If you want to join me tomorrow's webinar, here's the webinar link page at the top. I will be going through the trade setup, a simple trade setup using a trendline break. I'm going to be using MACD, pivot points, and I'll talk about following a written trading plan as well. So that will be tomorrow's lesson. If you want to join me, just register your interest, and I look forward to seeing you then. Okay. Thanks, everybody.